Hi there, remember me? It's been a while. I put a scarf on so you'd recognize me. God, look at these roots. I sort of had an inkling of what was going to happen, but holy mackerel. The actual reality of it happening is quite different. So, I hope you have your coffee. Give me a couple of minutes and let me tell you what I've been up to. So in my last video, I was talking about 9 things you can do to make your day more productive and the quarantine more manageable. And I put those 9 points into a bullet journal spread. So, wake ups, exercise, and stretch. Though I went off the rails for a couple of days because my family was staying up later and later, I managed to get it back on track and get the exercise in play. Mainly because at the next point, the meal plan, we've been eating so well between homemade bread and homemade baking. We've had home-cooked meals for every supper. I saw my scale going up higher and higher. It was getting close to a number. I spent 5 years taking off weight to get to that. And I am just absolutely determined that I'm not going to go above it. So not only am I walking every day, I've begun to incorporate more running. UFOs, I've been doing a lot of work on my oldest UFO, my Judy Niemeyer 4th of July. You're probably absolutely sick of hearing of it, but I've actually have done a lot of work on it, just in 30 minutes to 45 minutes at a time. And I'm happy to say that I am through blocks C, D, E, and I'm working on my last one, F. I have this little chart that I have been ticking off, and I am so happy I am in the final stretch. I can feel momentum building, but I've got a lot of curves ahead of me, and they're not my favorite thing, so it'll be interesting to see how I get through it. I'm also looking at mistakes I made as a brand new quilter. It was my 4th quilt, and I hadn't finished any quilts when I started it, and it was really a bridge too far. I've also worked on my Sugary Do. I've done the April strip, I believe it's called Here We Go, and happy to check that off the list. So I also pulled out an old crumb project. Now, if my family ever holds an intervention for me, it will be how I save these bits of scrap. I am using old adding machine tape that I found in a cupboard at work, and I sew the crumbs together to make 4-inch strips, and then I sew those strips together on the paper, and then I trim the paper at 1/4 inch. Here I have 52 strips, and I figure I need 108 to make a quilt the size that I want. So stay tuned. Do you remember my video on scrap sampler blocks? Well, one day I was so brain dead, this was all I could manage, and luckily I had them pre-prepared. And finally, after 6 months of humming and hawing, I managed to take a step forward in making a Meadowland quilt. One of my objectives this year was to sew up my fat quarter bundles. I had this stack of 12 lying around, and I found 8 more fat quarters to go with them. Learning and creativity. I have put these together because they're so often linked. I made the Toronto Modern Quilt Guild challenge blocks for March, which was way out of my color zone, and I did a couple of other projects that pushed my color zone limits. And then at one point, I got out all my fabric and started playing with it, which might have been a tactical error. Then I decided to get my old iMac up and running so I could do some video editing on the large screen, and well, that's a week of my life I'm never going to get back. Family time has been about watching TV. That's all my son is able to do at the moment. So we've been working our way through the Avengers series, and I'm taking advantage of that time to do some hand sewing and catching up on my new hexagon Millefiore. I made Rosette 10A, and I'm sure anybody that looks at it would be saying, who are you and what have you done with Karen? Because it's almost black. And I never voluntarily work with black, and here it is black. So interesting what comes out of you when you're under stress. And I do like it. And I think it works well with the other rosettes that I've already made. Cleaning, I must admit that I'm not as enthusiastic as I was at the beginning. I did some major things at the beginning, cleaning out my refrigerator, etc. But not too crazy about it anymore. I'm doing a minimum amount to maintain our cleanliness, but I'm not tackling any cupboards or anything like that at the moment. My last thing on my list that I have to do is film, and I have been filming, but it's not going anywhere. And part of that is the chaos in my life. With my son moving into our home, he's taking up my sewing room, and all that stuff has had to come into my bedroom. Now, I understand there's a lot of people that don't even have that kind of space, but it's a lot of chaos in my bedroom. I sewed in my room for 2 years while my number 3 kid was home, but now I have all this extra photography equipment, and I just do this crazy dance every morning as I bring everything off my sewing area and spread it out over my bed, and then I do it again at night, taking it all off my bed and putting it back on my sewing table and ironing table and everything. And I realized I wasn't going to be able to film at home. Like, there's just not enough space to do. So I made a decision to move to the new space to do my filming. Luckily, IKEA still delivers, so I made myself a desk. And then I've made a filming setup with it, and that's what I'm actually testing out today. And if life ever returns to normal, we have our teaching TV up on the wall. But truly my biggest issue is my son being sick. It's hard enough for someone going through chemo when the world is normal with this pandemic atmosphere and all the controls at the hospital, and just the lack of family support because they can't be near. I'm finding very stressful. I'm finding I'm able to do a lot of tasks, but I cannot join those tasks together. I mean, it's day 28. We're not fighting, we're not biting, but life is pretty cramped and repetitive, and I just find filming very hard. I'm hoping now that I've got a setup at the studio that I can come here and make them, take some relief. I actually have some scripts together. It's very hard being a YouTuber. You are the script writer, you're the actor, I'm the director, the cinematographer, the sound, the editor, and the marketer. And as I know from the comments, I'm not that great at all of them. But you have to be able to do all of them, and that's a lot of planning and organizing, and I'm just finding it very challenging right at the moment. So I apologize, I haven't been able to do my weekly videos, and I'm really not sure when I'm going to be able to get back to doing weekly videos. I find it's probably going to be sporadic. I probably do a couple in a row, and then you won't hear from me for a couple of weeks. It's just going to be tough for a little while. For the same reason, I have not been very active on social media at this time. I just find I just don't have the brain power for it. I do like scanning through and seeing all your projects, and they inspire me. I'm looking at all everybody's doing with the face mask and the great outpouring of effort. Quilters are such a wonderful group of people. Your wonderful comments just give me a lot of comfort at this time, and people inquiring about my son. Thank you very much for reaching out. Some days it's the thing that keeps me standing up. You're probably wondering how my son is doing. Today I'm going home and I'm shaving his head. That beautiful head of hair that he has is going to come off because we're at that point. So that's just my update. In the process, I guess I've made vlog number 2. And if we are all doing what we can, hopefully this pandemic will be over soon. So take care, and I'll see you next time.